Chief Military Editor for the Fable Observer and covers Fort Bragg. Drew, what will this proposal equate to here in the state and at Fort Bragg?
Well, anytime you're talking about growing the military, it's bound to have an impact at Fort Bragg. Fort Bragg is home to 1/10 of the Army. There's several major commands there. And if they're going to add troops, it makes sense that Fort Bragg's going to see some of that.
And of course, with more troops means more infrastructure needs as well.
Yeah, the budget also includes a little bit more than $300 million for projects in the state of North Carolina. Some of that is going to be at Fort Bragg. A lot of that will be at Cherry Point for projects related to the F-35, New River. They will also see some construction.
What are some of the topics that are hot right now at Fort Bragg that you've been covering?
Well, one thing that certainly comes to mind is a homecoming of about 150 Fort Bragg paratroopers that got back into the country from Afghanistan on Valentine's Day. I talked to a lot of families. They couldn't have asked for a better gift from their soldiers than to actually come home after spending anywhere from 6 to 8 months in Afghanistan.
What are some of the other topics that you get to go and cover recently on Fort Bragg and around the bases?
Well, there's always training going on. So there's been a lot of that the last couple of weeks on Fort Bragg. The 82nd Airborne Division has been very busy doing their regular training cycles. You've got news today that Fort Bragg is in the running to add another unit that would include about 800 soldiers. So there's always something going on at Fort Bragg.
Now, if you get these new units in, how does that integrate into the infrastructure and just kind of the style of Fort Bragg? People just on the outside don't really understand a lot about what's happening there. That's it's really a major city, almost a major county-wide space there.
It's huge, and they have some of the same issues that any city or county would have. They have infrastructure problems, road issues. They need buildings that have not really been maintained over much of the last 10, 15 years. So there's a lot of catch-up that they have to do there to get buildings and roadways prepared for these new units.
In the past, you've been embedded with multiple divisions as they've gone out into different countries. How is that for you, and what do you learn by going and being with the troops?
I think it's good to get away from the flagpole, so to speak. It's a whole new world when they're on a real-world mission as opposed to training at home station for that real-world mission. The stakes are higher, and they tend to be a little bit looser. It's good from my perspective to be with the troops then, because I learn a lot.
And you get to bring it back to everyone here in North Carolina. Thanks for everything you do at the Fable Observer and your writings. What do you hope to make sure that, what do you hope your writing accomplishes each week?
I just want the local community to know what's going on at Fort Bragg. Obviously, that's a big issue in Fayetteville. Those are our neighbors, and I think the local populace wants to know what's going on and how that may affect their lives.
Thanks for what you do.